Welcome to The Disappearing Mind, a unique podcast helping you find clarity and support along your dementia journey. Now, join National Dementia Trainer and Coach Dawn Platt for an all-new episode.
Hello, and welcome to the Mind Matters podcast. My name is Dawn Platt. I'm a certified dementia practitioner, a national dementia trainer, and a personal dementia coach. Very happy to be with you today. And on today's podcast, we're going to take some time and just go through some questions that I often receive from families, loved ones who care for people who have dementia. I've often stated, and it's absolutely true, that having an outlet or a support group or both are really going to be very helpful to you as you walk through a dementia journey, either personally or as a family member. Today, I'm going to read some of the questions that have come in through different support group formats that I am a part of and try and answer some of those questions with some suggestions that may be helpful for you. Sit back and get yourself a notebook and a cup of coffee and join me as I go through some of the questions that many families may have or may say, or it might be a part of your journey. The first question comes to me from a wife, and she says, I feel like the absolute worst wife in the world right now. My husband had an accident in the bathroom. Instead of asking for my help, he tried cleaning it up himself, which only made it worse. After getting him in the shower and cleaning up the toilet and the floor and got him dressed, by this time it's 5 a.m. in the morning. I'm exhausted. I don't sleep well because he's up and down all night. I lost it and screamed, asking God why he isn't helping me. I scared my husband. All I ask is for patience with the man that is my whole world. Sorry for the rant. I can't stop crying, and I didn't know where else to turn. This, folks, is a scenario that if you haven't done it, you may want to, or it may happen at some point. I made some suggestions to this wife. Certainly, my biggest suggestion was give yourself some grace. It's okay. You're amazing. You can do this. Take a breath. You're not alone. Others lose it too. I want to say to you, there are going to be times in this journey that you're going to lose it, or perhaps if you don't lose it, maybe not have the patience that you would normally have. This is not a normal journey. This is not a normal 24-hour day. And for many of you, you never thought in your wildest dreams that you would be providing care or cleaning up urine and feces, dressing people, doing things for others that you are clueless about or that don't come naturally to you. In that, I say to all family members, you're always going to have good days and bad days. You're going to have times that you do well and other times that you have a short fuse. Give yourself some grace, be understanding, go back and apologize. Certainly, you are not alone in this. It can be very frustrating. One of the things that I'm going to suggest to you is look around. Is there any help that you can get? Is there a way that you could get out a couple hours once or twice a week just to have some personal time and to be able to unload some of your emotions and feelings? I think that as we go through this, the frustration builds. And if we don't have a support mechanism, someone who will listen to us, someone who will relieve us in some of this, it can really get overwhelming. And
I know that families think it's the worst thing in the world. They think they're neglectful, that they're not performing as well. That absolutely isn't true.
I think that the grace that needs to come is going to depend on the amount of stress you're under, what the circumstances are in your support environment and in your home, and how cooperative or what is the ability of your loved one. With that in mind, I'd also like to say that people who have dementia can't help it. They usually cannot care for themselves. And when they do attempt, such as in this circumstance, often they'll make things worse or not clean it up properly, and still it needs to occur. This is a common situation, one that you're not alone in, but talk about it, be open and honest about how you're feeling, what happened, and find a listening ear. Certainly, there are hotlines that you can call. People can listen to what you're saying, but take a deep breath and understand that tomorrow's a new day, and just focus on that. Don't focus on all the negative that has happened and your failures. Focus on the positive things that you're doing, the things that you want to do. And that's really going to be very helpful to you. The second question that I'm going to talk about is, did you tell your loved one they have dementia? So this is a question that is often posed, and it doesn't have a single answer or a single bit of advice to it. It's really going to depend. Certainly, if someone has a dementia diagnosis and that diagnosis has come very early in the dementia stages and they're capable of hearing the diagnosis and being part of the decision making, the planning making for the future, then certainly I think that by all means, it's their life. They can contribute. They can help make decisions that are going to make it easier for you and the family going forward. We don't always talk in families about what we would like to have done and if something happens to us. And I think the more that we do that, the more that we make our wishes known to the best of our ability, it makes it easier for the family in making future decisions. Now, with that being said, if I decide that I absolutely don't want to go into a care home, assisted living, or memory care, I don't want anyone to come in and I want to remain in my own home, and that's not practical, nor it's best or safe for me, and I don't have the finances to do that, then absolutely we're not going to be able to accommodate that in most circumstances. In this circumstance, and I don't know, there are a lot of different comments.
Some people, once the diagnosis has actually come, are already too far into the diagnosis or too far into the stage that they can't perceive it. They can't understand it.
Perhaps that is the case. And so you might want to consider and weigh out how beneficial it is to tell the person that they have diagnosis. Are they going to remember it? Are they going to get angry, be in denial, and lash out? Those are things that you have to weigh out. What are the benefits of doing that if this person obviously has had dementia for some time, but now you're getting an official diagnosis and it's upsetting, it overwhelms them, then obviously I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's wisdom to just tell someone over and over again that you have dementia. With that being said, we see that people try and do that. That is their explanation. Anytime there is a confrontation in caregiving or decision making, if you say something like, well, you have dementia, you're not really able or capable of making that decision, that can certainly minimize the person. It can put them in a defensive mode or make them feel less than that about themselves. And so you want to be very careful about how you tell a loved one that they have dementia, how you remind them. The circumstances in which you use that are going to change and vary from family to family, person to person. And again, depending on the stage of the diagnosis. So let me give you a couple examples for that. One of the other comments that someone said is that the doctor had told their mother that they had dementia. The mother's reaction to the doctor was that he was an idiot, that he didn't know what he was talking about. That absolutely wasn't the case. This person, the mother, could not grasp being told that. Therefore, that was detrimental to her. And I would not continue that. I would change the subject with her and I would minimize what was said and be agreeable with her, because some people cannot face that reality. They can't reason it out. It doesn't make sense to them. And many people simply are in denial and they will blame shift. Blame shifting is something that is a coping mechanism, especially for people who have dementia who cannot process how this could happen to me. They are forgetful, maybe making mistakes, that sort of thing, but that's not their reality. There has to be another reason for it. It certainly can't be that there's something wrong with me. But getting back to the question, did you tell your loved one they have dementia? I think there are a lot of factors that you need to bring into play here. It's something that you want to talk to your physician about. It's something that you want to discuss with the family. I think it's something that you don't want to hide from someone, but you need to weigh out the outcome. How is it going to impact them? If it's going to make the situation worse, if they're going to get depressed or discouraged or cry or get angry, then obviously I definitely wouldn't do that. The value of them knowing that is really meaningless at that point if you have someone there, and can be very detrimental. On the other hand, I have counseled families with spouses, especially. I had a particular wife that I advised her, and the situation was like this. The spouse has early dementia and is not able to navigate some of the bills and some of the extracurricular activities that they do. These extra activities that they do are very beneficial to the husband. Once he gets there and gets going and gets involved with the social group, he does very well, navigates it very well, and it's hugely important to his well-being. His wife has kind of stepped in to support him in the preparation and the planning for these groups and meetings that they go to, in which he's been a facilitator in the past. And she says to him, the doctor says that you have early onset dementia, and I can support you in planning. And as much as you need, I'm here to support you so that it will make it easier for you, because once you get there, you're going to be just fine. That's a whole different scenario, and one that you need to consider. Allowing them to make the decision of how much help is going to go very far with them. They still need to have the ability to make decisions as much as possible. And you saying, I'm here for you if you need it, but I'm not going to take it over. I'm not going to tell you can't do it. Those kinds of things are going to be very positive approaches to use when it talks about discussing their dementia. In the long run, I think that's going to be beneficial. I hope that those answers have helped you and determine we don't need to hide it, but we don't need to flash it in front of everybody and discuss it with every Tom, Dick, and Harry and the neighbor and everyone who comes along. That's not really necessary, because that may be embarrassing. Talk about it. You may have to do one thing in one situation, one scenario, and something completely different in another. No straight answers for that. I hope that I was able to help a little bit with that answer. Next question that we're going to cover in our support group question and answer session comes from Diane. And Diane is a daughter who is pretty frustrated and looking for some answers. She's looking to navigate some answers for her mom. She wants to contribute. Obviously, she cares about her mom and she wants what's best for her, but she is having a hard time navigating the healthcare system and making the best decisions. So here we go. My mom is high functioning dementia. I've looked at 14 places for my mom. She talks and wants to play bridge and chess, etc. She wants to stay at home. Memory care appears to have people who can't interact. I want to put her in assisted living, even though she is forgetful and repeats herself. I think she will freak out in memory care. She lives at home with a daily caretaker. She's alone at night and obsesses about going to the bank almost every day. Am I wasting my time and my money looking at assisted living? She doesn't cooperate to go to the doctor and refuses neurologist appointments. I don't even know how I'll accomplish a physical or TB test if she were to move somewhere. In your experience, what do you think? Should I try assisted living or go straight to memory care? She does have moments of anger. This is a full set of questions that I just want to unpack for you today. So number one, I am glad that this daughter is out looking around and looking at options. Having several options to look at in your particular area are going to be important. It sounds to me like her mom is still pretty high functioning. She does have care assistants coming into the home, but is still able to remain at home overnight. I don't see or hear anything where safety is a concern or issue. And if she's able to be alone, she can function in the household by herself, reach out, use the telephone, navigate the house, and other things that we do domestically in our homes each and every day. Although you're looking at memory cares, I don't think that memory care at this point is probably the first choice for your mom. However, once your mom moves out of her home, you may see a further decline because of her transition. She will be in a new place, which is always a transition, which can last, 2 to 8 weeks, depending on the environment that they have lived in, how long they've lived there, and what kind of support that they have had living in the setting that they're currently in. Let me unpack the memory care. I think as you're looking for memory care for your mom in the future, you want to look at a number of factors. You want to look at the community as a whole and what is the census or the cognitive level of the people that live there. Many times in a memory care community, people have lived there for a while, and so they may be much further along than your loved one. And in that kind of community, I could see that someone with dementia early to middle onset might be upset in being placed in a memory care with people that function at so much a lower level than them. It's going to produce a lot of different obstacles. They won't have someone to socialize with. They will see others around them that appear to be worse, could be discouraging, all of that sort of thing. In the other hand, you need to ask questions like, what type of activities do you offer your residents, and how many residents do you have in your community that my mom could socialize with? She likes to play bridge and other types of things. Do you have residents in your memory care community that are capable and enjoy that kind of thing that my mom could socialize with? So you're going to want to look at that. What is the activity level of the neighborhoods that you're looking at? That's going to be important. And I think that you can see that as you tour the community. What is it like? How active is it? How vibrant is it? How alive is it? Are the people in the memory care community, and there are many of them that have high functioning residents. You just need to look at that and ask those questions to find out, is there a group of people in that particular memory care neighborhood that your mom could fit in with, that could make friends with, that she could engage with? The other thing I think that's important when you look at a memory care community for your particular mother, who you say she likes to do these things, is she like it, or is she really able to do it? A lot of people talk about playing bridge, but they really can't play bridge. You need to make that determination. Is she still able to do those things, or does she just like it, or it's something in her past? The other thing, and I think the most important thing when it comes to a memory care community that you should look at, is what is their program? How therapeutic is their program? What is it based on? Is it based on a science that they customize and tailor programming to individuals who live there? Or is there a one size fits all activities calendar? Ask for the calendar. Take a look at it. Are there things on the activity calendar listed that your mom would enjoy? Come in and observe a activity. Bring your mom. Are you seeing people there that your mom could engage in? Will your mom engage in what's going on? Those are really important. Is it vibrant? Is it alive? Are people socializing? Are there a lot of variety of programs available that fit your mom's high functioning level? Those are the things you're going to want to look at. Are they therapeutic? Are they intellectual? Are they memory enhancing? What types of things are on the calendar? If your mom didn't engage in bingo and coloring and things like that, and you look and that's on the calendar, then your mom is going to be bored. Do they offer table games, bridge, canasta, all different kind arts, music, outings, those kinds of things that would engage your mother? I think that that is something that I would look for and I would recommend. How therapeutic is that program? What is the science based on? Is it based on who she is as a person? We call that their life story. We customize and tailor things to individuals with person-centered care, not one size fits all, because it doesn't. Those are the things that I would look at as far as memory care is concerned. The other thing, let's look at assisted living. Here's what I would look for. It sounds like your mom, like so many other people who we may see in assisted living, needs a structured environment, needs some care support, needs routine meals, needs leisure and social activities that are structured, will need more services as she progresses. That's what I would look for. I would look for a community that would tailor services as your mother needs it, as your mother declines. I haven't heard anything about mom getting confused and getting lost, or mom exit seeking and trying to go out of the house, or things like that. If safety is not a concern, then I would look for a vibrant, very active, but supportive assisted living community where they have an active program and your mom would have friends. She would have scheduled social calendar, leisure calendar that offers a variety of types of leisure activities that she might enjoy, as well as the dining options where she would go to the dining room, sit with people. Maybe they have some sort of ambassador friend type program that help people navigate and adjust to a new community. I certainly, just from the information that you have asked, feel like that your mom could navigate an assisted living community, provided that they have tiered services and then have a memory care neighborhood either within that campus, that if she needed it or if she began to exhibit more of a need for safety or wandering or meandering, then you would be able to transition over without making another move off of that campus. That is my advice to you. And again, take a look, tour, try and take your mom to a special event they're having, see how she adjusts, see how she interacts, go for lunch, see how their food is, take a look at their dining room, have a meal. Is their food good? If all of those things are good, your mom will likely thrive in that environment, provided that they have a transition program for early dementia, and most do, and have steps that you can take without having to make another move except within that campus. That's what I would look at there. As far as your mom's appointments and things, I think that at this point, you're having a hard time getting her navigating neurologists and appointments like that. I think that what you need is to rely on maybe the caregiver that comes in to help you and assist you with that. You may need to look at a care manager type of service that could get your mom to be a little bit more cooperative. Hopefully, the person that you have hired that goes in every day is able to get mom to do things that maybe you're not able to. Generally, I always advise that, seeking out professional help and other family members that might be able to coach your mom into going to appointments. And the other thing that I'm going to say is, sometimes we give people too much information. Saying to someone, I've made a neurology appointment for you because I think you have dementia, can be really frightening. We don't necessarily have to say it's a neurology appointment. We could say it's a doctor's appointment. We don't have to disclose all the information and get their total input on every single thing, especially if decision-making and processing skills have become difficult for them. We might say, we're going out for lunch, and on the afternoon, swing by the doctor's office. Those are some of the steps and things that I think are really important. We might disclose too much information at once, and it can get us into trouble. So I hope that those tips were helpful to you. Okay, so here's a question coming in from another daughter. And might I say that daughters and daughter-in-laws are the primary people that I work with. They do provide the most caregiving within families and family groups. Often they're the person that I talk to or that asks the most questions. Let's read this one and see if we can kind of break this down. I am the primary caregiver of my 84-year-old mother. I moved in with her a year ago. Last Saturday, she took a bad fall. She went outside on my watch and she fell on the driveway. I found her out there on her butt and she was bleeding from her head. I called 911. The squad comes, questions are asked. She knows her name, but not the year, et cetera, et cetera. By the time they got her in the ambulance to go to the nearest ER, one of the paramedics came back and told me that they were taking her to the big hospital, which is further away. When I asked why, he replied she didn't even remember falling. Today was very hard. I'm confident that my mom will never come home again. She has 3 staples in the back of her head. She's pulled her IV out 3 times. She has had a nurse 24/7 sit beside the bed because of this. She's trying to rip out her heart monitor. She was refusing to eat. Last night, she threw all of her food on the floor and she took off all her clothes. She threw the telephone and it was awful. I believe at this point, mom needs a nursing home or further care. My heart is heavy. Can you advise me? I think that you can hear this daughter. Number one, the guilt that she fell on my watch. Accidents happen, especially when you're caring for someone 24/7. You can't be there every minute of the day. Falls are not uncommon with people with dementia. Often it can be their demise or their downbringing to the next step. Often that's true, but oftentimes it isn't. I think that what the paramedic had said was that they needed to take her somewhere that perhaps was a little bit more experienced in dealing with dementia. He obviously noted that this woman was very, very confused. Here is the obstacle that we come into anytime we take someone out of their home environment where they're familiar into a hospital setting, an acute setting that they don't know the people, they don't understand what's going on. It's a whole new environment. It's going to create a lot of fear. It can create behaviors. It can cause them to lash out, to be angry, all of those sorts of things. This is not uncommon. I never recommend that someone with dementia be sent to the ER alone or be left in the hospital alone. And the reason is it's a scary place. It's a scary place for those of us who don't have dementia. But for those who have dementia, it can be a very threatening place. They're trying to navigate the world around them, and now they're met with all these people and noise and sterile environments, being asked a lot of questions by people they don't know. We will often see the worst in our loved ones or people with dementia when they're put into a hospital type environment. It's not unusual. It's not something I don't hear thousands of times. Let me say that this is not the measuring stick of whether or not this is the end for them. Let me just say that. How they're acting may resolve itself once they're back with a familiar person, once it's daylight out, once you go and visit them and sit with them and they're calm. Certainly it can create impulsiveness, anger with your mother. This is what's happened. That does not mean that your mom is going to continue to be that way the rest of her life or in the next setting, wherever that happens to be. And I think that you need to know and understand that when we put people with dementia in acute settings or change their environment, it has behavioral impacts. I think that you need to step back again, take a look at the situation and the scenario. Your mother is scared. She is being impacted by a lot of changes. She probably does not understand what's going on, and she has acted out. It's perfectly normal for that to happen with someone with dementia. It just is. I think that once she settles down, you are there holding her hand, telling her it's okay, offering reassurance, you are going to see a whole different scenario. And I cannot stress this enough. It is not wise to take somebody out of one environment, put them in an acute environment, and expect to have a good outcome. I recently counseled with a family whose loved one was sent to the emergency room, was hospitalized for a day and a half before they were even aware, they live out of town, that their father was there. He obviously did not demonstrate his best behavior, and that is not uncommon. In a clinical setting, their role in the hospital is to find out what's going on, to do tests and blood work and x-rays and MRIs, all of that to determine what the physical problem may be, while the cognitive problem is not so much being addressed at the same time. This is common. We see it. I would just give it a few days. I would take a breath and I would try and offer a lot of reassurance, make sure someone is sitting with your mother to offer that kind of assurance. It's possible she's being restrained because of that. And if you think about that scenario, it's scary to be restrained. It would produce anger in most people. There are a number of scenarios happening here that are of the fault of nobody. I think you have to give it a few days, evaluate the situation before you make any decisions. Perhaps if your mom stabilizes, which is very possible that could happen, and she comes back in the environment, you're going to see the old mom that does not demonstrate these behaviors except when she's put in an unknown and unfamiliar environment. Environmental factors, environmental changes are impactful, and they do create triggers for some of these behaviors that you're seeing. I'm sorry that you're going through this and that you don't understand it. Please do not take it personally. Your mom is not a bad person. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's something that we see a lot in the field of dementia. Another question. I got my loved one dressed and had her breakfast out on the table. Hot coffee, hard-boiled egg, toast with butter and cottage cheese. I sat her down at the table and she started her breakfast. I went to the bathroom less than 4 minutes. When I came out of the kitchen, the living room and dining room was filled with smoke, and a flame a foot high shot over the stove. My loved one put on the electric tea kettle on the stove, even with toddler knobs on it. I got her out on the deck, called 911, threw water on the fire, and it went out fairly quickly. 911 responded and came and aired out the house. This was quite a scare for us. I brought her home from respite because they were so short-staffed, and here I'm giving her 24-hour care, and this has happened. Not looking for sympathy, just want to warn everyone, I am so in shock. This is a startling thing for any family. And one of the things I say about dementia behaviors and safety and that kind of thing, you just have to take the precautions. People don't wander out until they wander out, and people don't usually have safety concerns until they do. There's a whole safety checklist if you're going to have someone in your home that I recommend. I will cover this on a future podcast, but you can also visit our resource page, the Alzheimer's Association resource pages on safety in the home. I think that better safe than sorry. And anytime that someone is progressing in dementia, safety is going to be one thing you have to do the checklist. Just like if you had a young child, that you would have safety locks on your medicine cabinet, on the chemicals under your sink. I think that if you do have someone who is prone to use the microwave or the stove, you're going to have to put safety measures in place and kind of be aware that that might be an issue. I'm very thankful that you came out, was able to remove her. Safety devices, turn off, turn on switches, as well as plugs. All of those things are good things to look at because you just don't know when safety is going to be a concern. If your loved one is a smoker, it's another safety concern that you want to look at because there's going to be a time when they're going to become unsafe. We don't recommend candles or heaters that could catch on fire. There's a whole realm of safety, including rug safety, walking safety, clutter safety, medicine safety. All of these are factors. And this is a really good question. The next time you come to the support group, talk about some of the safety factors that people are running into in their homes. Of course, the safety checklists that are available on most websites when you are dealing with someone with dementia. Safety is always the first concern. From the very beginning of dementia, having safety measures in place and looking at the tips for safety and instituting them in your home and for the individual as they progress throughout the disease. It is a constant question and a discussion that you want to have with your physician and healthcare providers who are going to evaluate your loved one on where they are at with that. Better safe than sorry. I'm so thankful that this was not worse than it was, but certainly safety is something that we all want to talk about and be aware of. And I will cover this again on future podcasts because I think it's a reality for most of us, things that we probably didn't think about, especially if we haven't had children in the home for a long time, and certainly is not something that we would talk about with our families. But again, lots of resources out there available on safety. And I think it's the number one concern when it comes to our loved ones who have dementia. And I thank you for the question. And I hope that you will check out the resources and look at your home. Only you, if you're choosing to keep them at home, or that's the most appropriate thing, can take safety measures in your home. If you do have a home health care agency or provider in your particular area, they are also able to do a home safety evaluation. Occupational therapists do home safety evaluation. It's something that you can bring up and talk about and make sure that your home is as safe as it could be. So that's really the discussion that I have for you today. I hope that these real questions have made you think and perhaps think of some questions that you might have or that you might come across. Certainly, these are things that might be a little harder to navigate as we walk out our dementia journey. And we love hearing from you, love hearing your questions, and try and give you the answers that you need or connect you to the resources that we have, as well as the resources that may be in your state and market area. Until next time, this is Dawn Platt. Make it a memorable day.
Thank you for joining us for the Disappearing Mind podcast. We hope it's helped you find clarity and support along your journey. Be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode, visit our website to suggest future topics, and share the podcast with friends and family.